She should have moved on by now. That's what they said about Daisy. 5 years after her husband's betrayal, after she built a business from the ashes he left behind. But when the same man shows up in her shop with tears in his eyes and nowhere left to go, she doesn't need revenge. She needs clarity, because forgiveness isn't free, and some apologies arrive too late to matter. Stay with us, because when she finally opens her mouth, the words she speaks will break him more than the loss of everything else. Where in the world are you watching from tonight? Drop your city in the comments. Have you ever been betrayed and came back stronger than they ever imagined? The clock on the wall ticks past midnight in the Youngs' glass-walled penthouse, each second slicing through the silence like a blade. The city below glitters with the kind of beauty that only money can buy, but inside, the air is cold. Daisy stands by the window, her reflection faint against the skyline, one hand resting on the curve of her belly. She's been waiting for hours, long enough for the tea on the counter to grow cold and her heart to grow heavier. When the elevator dings, relief flashes across her face, but it fades the moment she sees him. Cyrus steps in wearing a tailored suit, his tie loose, the smell of expensive whiskey clinging to him. He doesn't meet her eyes. His phone buzzes on the counter, lighting up with a name she's seen before. Marina. Daisy's chest tightens. "You're late again," she says softly, careful, the way a woman speaks when she's already been hurt too many times. "Board meeting ran over," he mutters, shrugging off his jacket. "You said that yesterday." She steps closer. "You said that every night this week." He exhales sharply, as if her voice itself exhausts him. "I'm doing what I have to do. For us." "For us?" Her laugh breaks halfway through. "You haven't looked at me in weeks, Cyrus. You leave before I'm awake and come home when I'm asleep. You're not building us. You're building an escape route." His jaw clenches. "Daisy, don't start." "I'm not starting," she says, her voice trembling. "I'm begging. You're my husband. We're supposed to be in this together." He turns away, pacing. "You don't understand. I can't keep pretending I'm happy living the same loop every day. Your shop talk, family talk, baby talk." "Baby talk?" Her voice cracks. "That's our child, Cyrus. Our child." He finally looks at her then, but there's no warmth in his eyes, only detachment, the kind that comes from decisions already made. "I can't do this," he says quietly. "I need to live my truth." She stares at him, not understanding. "And what truth is that? That you're in love with her?" Silence. Then the smallest nod. Something inside her shatters. "You knew I was pregnant and you still—" He grabs his suitcase, the one that's been sitting by the door for weeks, waiting for courage. "I'm sorry," he says, though his tone makes the word meaningless. Her hand slides off her stomach. The tears come soundlessly. "Cyrus," she whispers as he reaches the door. "You're walking away from more than me." He doesn't turn back. The door closes behind him, and the echo fills the room like a final heartbeat. The hospital room is quiet, except for the soft rhythm of a newborn's cry. Daisy lies in the narrow bed, her body aching, her heart heavier than it has ever been. The nurse places the tiny bundle in her arms, and for a moment, the pain fades. Her daughter's skin is warm against hers, her fingers impossibly small. Daisy traces them one by one, whispering through her tears, "It's just you and me now, baby girl." She names her Ava because it means life, and that's what she's determined to give her, a life filled with gentleness, even if the world hasn't been kind. When the discharge papers come, Daisy signs them alone. There are no flowers, no husband waiting by the door, no homecoming celebration. Just a cab ride through the city at dawn, the skyline glowing gold while she clutches her sleeping child to her chest. She rents a tiny apartment on the east side, where the walls are thin and the floors creak, but there's sunlight in the mornings, and that's enough. Days blend into nights, and nights into a rhythm of feedings and exhaustion. The silence that used to terrify her becomes familiar, something she can fill with lullabies instead of arguments. Still, there are moments when the loneliness presses too hard, when she catches herself glancing at the door as if he might walk through it after all. But then Ava stirs, and Daisy remembers that she no longer has the luxury of breaking. It starts small, one pot of daisies on the windowsill, then another. She begins tending to them at night while Ava sleeps, the soil grounding her, the scent of life whispering something she hasn't felt in months. Hope. Soon, the corner of her living room becomes a jungle of color. Her mother, Lorraine, visits one morning and laughs softly, brushing her hand over a cluster of lilies. "You could open a shop, baby," she says. "Turn this healing into something real." And Daisy does. She cashes in what little she has left, finds a dusty old storefront with peeling paint, and spends every spare hour transforming it. By spring, Bloomhaven is born, a place where beauty and pain coexist quietly. Customers come for bouquets, but they stay for her warmth, for the way she wraps flowers as if she's wrapping someone's heart back together. At night, after locking up, Daisy holds Ava close and whispers, "We're going to be okay." She doesn't fully believe it yet, but as the wind stirs the flowers in the window, something in her spirit begins to bloom again, fragile but alive. Cyrus wakes to the faint hum of ocean waves against glass, the kind of luxury suite that promises peace but never delivers it. Marina lies beside him, flawless and detached, scrolling through her phone with the same focus he once used on quarterly reports. A morning headline flashes across her screen. Cyrus Young and Marina Ellis, Power Couple of the Year, and she grins, satisfied. Cyrus forces a smile back, but it feels like a mask that no longer fits. Breakfast is champagne and fruit served by strangers. Marina talks about another gala, another photo shoot, another brand partnership that will elevate their image. Cyrus nods mechanically, pretending to listen, but the sound of her voice is all surface, sharp, glittering, and hollow. When she laughs, it doesn't reach her eyes. When she kisses him, it feels rehearsed. The days blur into events where everything sparkles but nothing shines. Camera flashes chase them through marble lobbies and candlelit dinners, where Marina's laughter is perfectly timed for the photographers. Cyrus plays his part, the successful entrepreneur, the man who has everything. But in quiet moments he finds himself staring past the lights, searching for something he can't name. One evening, during a charity gala in Paris, he sees it clearly. A little girl in a flowered dress hands Marina a bouquet for the cameras. The child's shy smile, the scent of fresh blooms, it hits him like a ghost. Daisy used to wear that same smile when arranging centerpieces for their tiny dinner parties, back when happiness didn't need a headline. Later that night, while Marina dances under chandeliers, Cyrus steps out onto the terrace. The city glows beneath him, but he feels only the weight of the emptiness he built. He scrolls through his old photos until he finds one of Daisy, laughing, hair tied back, smudges of dirt on her cheek from planting tulips on their balcony. She looks alive, real, everything this world isn't. When Marina finds him, her tone is sharp. "You've been distant lately," she says, slipping her arm through his. "We have a reputation to protect." "A reputation," he echoes, staring at the glittering skyline. "That's all we have left." She narrows her eyes, sensing the fracture. Don't start something you can't finish. But he already has. That night, while Marina sleeps beside him in a bed made of silk and silence, Cyrus lies awake, listening to the hum of the city. He realizes the truth he's been avoiding. He didn't just lose Daisy. He lost the man he was when he loved her. And for the first time, he wonders if all the success in the world can ever fill a heart gone hollow. The first sign comes quietly, an unanswered call, a delayed payment, a rumor whispered at a dinner party. Then everything unravels at once. Cyrus sits in his corner office, the view that once made him feel invincible now mocking him as headlines roll across every screen. Young technologies under investigation. Funds mismanaged by CEO's partner. Shareholders demand resignation. His phone buzzes non-stop, lawyers calling, investors shouting, Marina nowhere to be found. By noon, the boardroom is full of vultures in designer suits. They circle him with polite venom, speaking in legal terms that sound like a funeral. "Cyrus," one of them says, voice cool and detached, "we have no choice but to remove you from your position pending the investigation." He nods numbly. The empire he built with sleepless nights and empty promises crumbles in the span of a single meeting. When he gets home, Marina is packing. The penthouse that once smelled of her perfume is littered with open suitcases and luxury bags. "You're leaving?" he asks, though he already knows. She doesn't even look up. "I'm not going down with you," she says flatly. "You knew the risks when you trusted me." Cyrus stares at her, realization dawning like poison. "You moved the money," he says slowly. "You used my name." Marina's lips curve into a small, cruel smile. "You gave it to me. Everything you ever had. You handed it over because you wanted to look powerful." She zips her suitcase and walks to the door. Turns out image doesn't pay the bills. The door slams, leaving only silence. That night, Cyrus checks into a small downtown hotel under a fake name. The room smells of bleach and rain-soaked carpet. He sits on the edge of the bed, the glow of his phone the only light. His bank accounts are frozen. His company gone. His parents' calls unanswered. For the first time in years, there's no noise to hide behind. He scrolls through his photos, past the red carpets and private jets, until he finds the ones he's avoided. Daisy smiling in their old apartment, her hands covered in soil from the flowers she loved to plant on the balcony. Her belly rounded with the child he was too proud to claim. The memory hits like a blow. He presses the phone to his chest, eyes burning. "You were right," he whispers to the empty room. "You were the only thing real." The city outside keeps moving, oblivious, lights blinking like stars that no longer belong to him. For the first time, Cyrus Young, once the man who had everything, feels what it means to have nothing at all. The scent of roses clings to the air long after she walks away, soft but unrelenting. Cyrus stands frozen in the middle of the ballroom, the laughter and chatter around him fading into a low, distant hum. His throat burns as he watches Daisy disappear through the double doors, her hand brushing gently over Ava's curls as she leans down to whisper something that makes the little girl giggle. That sound, so pure, so familiar, feels like sunlight breaking through the ruins of his soul. He doesn't remember walking out of the ballroom, only the ache in his chest that grows heavier with every step. Outside, the evening air is sharp, sobering. He leans against his car and exhales, staring at the reflection of himself in the tinted window. The man who looks back is a stranger, the polished veneer of success cracked by years of guilt. He tries to remember the night Daisy told him she was pregnant. He can still hear her voice, trembling but hopeful, the way she pressed his hand against her stomach and whispered, "This is us, Cyrus. Our future." He'd pulled away then, blinded by ambition, afraid that love would make him ordinary. Now, standing in the shadow of everything he lost, ordinary feels like salvation. Inside the hotel, the wedding music swells again, Violins, laughter, promises. He once believed vows were chains, now he understands they were roots, the kind that hold you steady when the storms come. He gets into his car but doesn't start it. Instead, he pulls out his phone, scrolling aimlessly until he lands on the photo he's never deleted. Daisy, radiant, standing on their old balcony surrounded by pots of tulips. Her smile back then had been his compass. He wonders how he ever lost sight of it. He drives aimlessly through the city, past billboards of faces that once envied his, past the towering office that no longer bears his name. Every light, every building feels like a monument to the man he used to be, ambitious, adored, and completely hollow. When he finally parks outside a small cafe, he sees a florist's truck across the street, its logo painted in delicate cursive, Bloom Haven Floral Design. The sight makes his pulse quicken. He whispers the name softly, tasting it like a prayer. Daisy built something out of the wreckage he left behind. He wants to be angry at himself, but all he feels is awe. For the first time in years, he knows what he has to do. Tomorrow, he'll go back. Not to fix the past, that's gone, but to ask if there's any way, however small, to be part of the life that grew from it. The evening air wraps around him like punishment. Music and laughter spill from the ballroom doors, but they sound distant, warped as though coming from another world, one he no longer belongs to. Cyrus stands on the cobblestone path clutching the rose until a petal falls, crushed against his palm. Daisy's silhouette is already fading into the glow of the parking lot lights, the small figure of her daughter skipping beside her. He could call out, apologize again, beg, but the words lodge in his throat. For once, silence feels deserved. He walks to his car on unsteady legs, every step echoing the sound of his own regret. When he opens the door, a draft of warm air greets him, carrying the faint scent of the rose. He drops it on the passenger seat and sits there for a long time, staring at nothing. Inside the ballroom, a new song begins, something slow and romantic. He imagines Daisy once loving to dance, remembers the way she used to rest her head against his shoulder in their kitchen while music played from the old radio. Back then, she would close her eyes and whisper, "Promise me this is forever." He had promised. He breaks a bitter laugh now, the kind that hurts coming out. Forever had lasted exactly 2 years and one confession of fear. He thought freedom meant not being tied to anyone. He never realized the loneliness that comes when no one is waiting for you to come home. He reaches for his phone, scrolling without thinking, until he finds Daisy's old number. It's disconnected. Of course it is. He tries searching her name, finding Bloomhaven's website instead. A small sunlit page showing floral arrangements, weddings, community events. The banner reads, "Beauty that grows from resilience." He traces the words with his thumb, as if they're something sacred. When he finally starts the car, he drives aimlessly through streets that once symbolized triumph. His reflection glides across dark windows and luxury storefronts, a ghost in a city that used to know his name. At a red light, he looks up at a billboard of his former company. His replacement beams from the ad, wearing the same confident smile Cyrus once practiced. He barely recognizes the man he used to be. As the light turns green, he whispers into the quiet, "You were right, Daisy. I wasn't running toward success. I was running from love." He drives on, the city swallowing him whole, the rose lying on the seat beside him, wilting slowly, like something once beautiful, finally learning what it means to die. The morning light glints off the shop window as Cyrus lingers on the sidewalk, the petals still between his fingers. He doesn't move for a long time, afraid that if he does, this moment of fragile resolve will scatter like dust. Inside, he can still see Daisy's silhouette, her movements graceful and deliberate, as she tends to her flowers. Ava swings her legs beneath the counter, humming softly, lost in her coloring book. It's an image so ordinary, yet it feels like a revelation, a glimpse into a life that could have been his, had he not walked away. Cyrus forces himself to leave, every step heavier than the last. The city around him bustles with people chasing deadlines, dreams, and illusions, the same things that once blinded him. He passes a billboard with his old company's name on it, but it doesn't sting this time. It feels irrelevant. What matters now isn't rebuilding his empire. It's rebuilding something far more fragile. Later that night, he finds himself parked outside Bloomhaven again, headlights off, the radio silent. Through the glass, Daisy is closing up, her movements tired but unbroken. When she finally turns the sign to closed, their eyes meet across the distance. She doesn't smile, but she doesn't look away either. The next morning, Cyrus returns. He doesn't bring flowers or gifts, just 2 cups of coffee and a quiet sincerity. Daisy arches a brow when she sees him. "Persistent, aren't you?" "I used to think persistence meant pushing for what I wanted," he says softly. "Now I think it means showing up even when I'm not wanted." Her lips twitch, but she says nothing. Instead, she nods toward a stack of boxes by the counter. "If you really want to help, you can move those." He does, carefully, silently, afraid to break the fragile peace. Hours pass. Customers come and go, unaware of the history breathing between them. Ava hands him her crayons at one point, insisting he color a flower just right. He does his best, clumsy and earnest. Daisy watches from behind the register, her expression unreadable, but her eyes linger longer than before. When the day ends, Daisy locks the door and turns to him. "You kept your word today," she says quietly. "I plan to keep it again tomorrow," he replies. She hesitates, the faintest sigh escaping her lips. "We'll see." As he walks away, the evening wind carries the faint scent of lilies. For the first time in years, Cyrus feels something bloom inside him, not redemption yet, but the first fragile roots of it. The following morning, Cyrus arrives before the shop even opens. The city is still half asleep, the sky blushing with dawn. He sits on the curb across from Bloomhaven, coffee in hand, waiting for the lights inside to flicker on. When Daisy finally unlocks the door, she notices him immediately. "You're early," she says through the glass, her tone flat but not unkind. "You said to show up," he replies. "I didn't say every sunrise." "Then you should have been clearer." She shakes her head, but he catches the ghost of a smile before she disappears inside. By mid-morning, Ava is painting on the sidewalk again, her small hands smudged with blue and pink. Cyrus crouches beside her, careful to keep his distance. "What color's that?" he asks. She squints up at him. "Sky pink. Mommy says it's what the world looks like when it forgives the night." The words stop him cold. Daisy said that. He wonders how many little pieces of her live inside their daughter, how much of her wisdom she's already passed down. "Your mom's really smart," he murmurs. Ava beams. "She's the smartest. She even taught me how to make flowers stand tall after they droop," Cyrus swallows, smiling faintly. "I think she taught me that too." As days stretch into weeks, a quiet rhythm forms. Cyrus helps with deliveries, restocks vases, and listens as Daisy gives him careful instructions, never quite meeting his eyes. Sometimes they talk about Ava, her favorite foods, her love of fairy tales, the way she insists on sleeping with her window open so she can hear the stars. He learns her laughter, her little sighs, and the way her curls bounce when she runs to greet her mother. It's a kind of education money could never buy. One afternoon, rain begins to fall, soft and steady. The 3 of them take shelter inside the shop, the air fragrant with lavender. Daisy makes tea while Ava twirls between them, holding out her small hands to catch raindrops through the open door. "You don't mind storms?" Cyrus asks her. "Not if Mommy's here," she says easily. Daisy's eyes flicker toward him. "She used to be terrified," she explains. "Now she says storms help things grow." Something shifts in that moment. Cyrus sees the life he missed, not as punishment, but as proof that beauty survived him. When he leaves that night, Daisy lingers by the window watching him go. He glances back once, just once, his hair damp, his expression quiet but sure. She closes the door softly, heart uncertain but lighter. For the first time, she wonders if healing isn't just hers anymore. Maybe it's theirs. The night stretches long and slow, punctuated by the steady rhythm of Ava's breathing and the soft hum of hospital machines. Daisy sits beside the bed, her fingers tangled in her daughter's curls, unwilling to let go even for a moment. Cyrus sits across from her in a stiff plastic chair, his jacket folded neatly over his knees, his eyes never leaving Ava's small frame. The silence between them isn't hostile anymore. It's fragile, sacred, filled with everything that doesn't need to be said. Every so often, Daisy's gaze flicks toward him, seeing not the man who left her, but the one sitting here now, disheveled, exhausted, breaking quietly under the weight of love rediscovered too late. When Ava stirs in her sleep, he's on his feet before Daisy can move, reaching instinctively for the oxygen monitor, his hands gentle but sure. He looks to Daisy for reassurance, and she nods, wordless, her throat too tight for sound. Hours pass in a blur of whispered prayers and half-drunk coffee. The world outside the hospital walls keeps spinning, but inside this small room, time has collapsed into one truth. They need each other to hold her world steady. When dawn begins to creep through the blinds, Daisy slips into the hallway, craving air. She leans against the cool wall, her arms folded across her chest, trying to slow the pounding in her heart. Moments later, Cyrus joins her, his footsteps hesitant. "She's sleeping," he says softly. "Color's better." Daisy nods, eyes glistening. "She scared me. She always acts so brave, but she's still just a little girl." "I should have been here," he murmurs. "All those nights you stayed up with her, all the moments she needed comfort. I should have been part of that." Daisy turns to him, her voice gentle but firm. "You weren't. But you are now. That's what matters." He looks at her, truly looks, as if seeing her for the first time, the strength in her tired eyes, the quiet fire that's kept them both alive. "You saved her," he says. "You saved both of us." "Don't turn this into poetry, Cyrus," she says, almost smiling. "Just be here. That's all I've ever needed you to do." He nods, exhaling shakily. "I can do that." When they step back into the room, Ava's eyes flutter open. "Mommy? Daddy?" she whispers. The word still feels foreign, but it lands softly between them. Cyrus's voice cracks as he answers, "I'm right here, sweetheart." And for the first time, Daisy doesn't correct her. The days settle into a rhythm that feels almost like peace. Mornings begin with the soft chime of the shop door and the sweet chaos of life returning to normal. Cyrus arrives early, usually before Daisy and Ava, opening the blinds so sunlight can spill across the rows of tulips and daisies. He brews coffee just the way Daisy likes it, 2 sugars, a splash of oat milk. When she walks in, her first glance is always cautious, but she doesn't send him away. Ava runs straight to him now, her laughter filling the air as he scoops her up and spins her carefully, mindful of her breathing. Daisy watches them, a strange mix of wonder and disbelief threading through her chest. There's no pretending he's the man he once was. He isn't. The arrogance that once clung to him like a suit is gone, replaced by something quieter, steadier. He still carries his past like a shadow, but now he walks toward the light. At night, after Ava's tucked in and the shop closed, Daisy finds herself sharing small pieces of conversation with him again. Not about love or loss, but about simple things. Ava's art project, new suppliers for the shop, the way the lavender shipment came in late. He listens without interrupting, and when he speaks, it's never to defend, only to understand. It unsettles her how easy the silence between them has become. One Friday evening, as the last customer leaves, the power flickers and the lights go out. Daisy groans, grabbing a flashlight. Cyrus laughs softly and lights a candle from the display table. Romantic, he teases gently. She gives him a look, but there's no bite in it. The flame flickers between them, painting gold across her face. For a second, she looks just like the woman he remembers, the one who once believed in him. Why now? She asks suddenly. Why come back after all this time? He doesn't look away. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't want to fix what was broken. I wanted to earn what was still standing. Something inside her shifts, subtle but real. She looks down at the candle, its light trembling, fragile yet alive. You're late, she says quietly. I know, he whispers, but I'm here now. When the lights return, the candle stays burning between them. Daisy exhales slowly, a trace of a smile curving her lips. Maybe redemption, she realizes, isn't a grand return. Maybe it's just the quiet act of staying and meaning it. The scent of lavender lingers in the air long after the words fade. Daisy stands still, her pulse unsteady, the paper trembling slightly in her hands. Cyrus doesn't move closer. He just watches her, every muscle tense, afraid that if he breathes too loud, he'll break the moment. The sunlight slants through the window, catching the dust in the air like flecks of gold. Everything feels suspended. The hum of traffic outside, the ticking clock, the ache in her chest she hasn't let herself feel in years. I don't know what you want me to say, she murmurs finally, her voice barely above a whisper. You can't erase what happened. I'm not trying to. He answers softly. I just needed you to know I remember every part of it. The good, the awful, the night I walked away. I relive it every day, Daisy. Her eyes flicker to him, wary but searching. You think remorse fixes anything? No, he admits. But I hope it proves I'm not the same man who left you. For a moment, the air thickens with unspoken things, the memories they both tried to bury. Then Ava laughs, the sound light and pure, chasing away the heaviness. She's kneeling on the floor, rearranging the flowers Cyrus lined so carefully, her small fingers adjusting each stem until it's just right. They're happy now, she says proudly. See, Mommy? The flowers are smiling. Daisy's throat tightens. She crouches beside her daughter and brushes a curl from her forehead. They are, sweetheart. Cyrus kneels too, careful to keep a respectful distance. You have your mom's touch, he says gently. Ava grins, oblivious to the storm of emotions swirling above her. When she runs off to fetch her backpack, Daisy and Cyrus are left in the golden hush of early evening. She studies him, the smudge of soil on his wrist, the calloused hands of a man who finally learned to work for more than profit. I didn't think you were capable of this kind of sincerity, she admits quietly. He smiles faintly. Neither did I. Guess I needed to lose everything to learn how to mean something. Her eyes soften, but she doesn't reply. Instead, she gathers a fallen petal from the floor and places it on the counter, right beside his letter. You can go now, she says, her tone gentle, not cold. Thank you for saying it out loud. Cyrus nods, understanding that peace is all she's offering, for now. As he walks toward the door, a breeze stirs the ribbons around the bouquets. Daisy watches him leave, the paper still warm in her hand, and for the first time, forgiveness doesn't feel impossible. It just feels close, like spring after a long, unforgiving winter. The evening hums with a soft kind of joy, the kind that doesn't need to be loud to be felt. The last of the guests wave goodbye, their laughter fading down the street as Daisy carries a stack of paper plates inside. Cyrus stays behind, collecting empty glasses from the garden table, pausing every now and then to glance at Ava. She's still dancing across the lawn in her birthday dress, chasing the fireflies that seem to glow just for her. Her curls catch the light each time she spins, and for a moment, the world feels perfectly still. When Daisy returns, she leans against the door frame, watching them. "She's going to fall asleep in the grass if we let her," she says, smiling. Cyrus chuckles softly. "Then let her." Some dreams are better under open skies. Daisy steps out beside him, folding her arms. The night air is warm, scented with roses and vanilla from the half-eaten cake. The fairy lights strung between the trees shimmer like stars close enough to touch. Ava's laughter drifts toward them, high, bright, innocent. "She's happy," Daisy says quietly, almost to herself. "She is," Cyrus replies. "You gave her that." "We did," she corrects, her voice gentle but sure. He looks at her then, surprised by the word we. It feels like permission, small but real. They sit on the porch steps, the wood cool beneath them. Daisy's mother, Lorraine, waves from the kitchen window before turning off the lights. The yard slips into a softer glow. "She told me what she wished for," Cyrus says after a pause. "Oh?" Daisy tilts her head. "I thought we agreed wishes were secret." He smiles. "She broke the rule. She said she wished we'd always stay together, not in one house, just in one heart." The words linger between them, fragile and beautiful. Daisy blinks hard, her throat tightening. "She's too wise for 6. She gets it from you," he says. They sit in silence for a while, listening to the crickets sing. The garden they planted together, lavender, sunflowers, and daisies, moves gently in the breeze, petals glowing under the light strings. Cyrus studies them the way he once studied profits and markets, realizing too late that this kind of growth is the only one that ever mattered. "I used to think success was about being known," he murmurs. "Now I think it's about being remembered with love." Daisy smiles faintly, her eyes on their daughter. "Then you finally learned how to grow something real." Their hands rest on the railing, close, almost touching. Ava's laughter carries through the night as she spins beneath the lights, her joy echoing softly through the garden. And in that quiet, unguarded moment, everything broken feels whole again. Love hasn't returned the way it left. It's come back slower, wiser, humbled, healed, and finally home. If you've ever been left when you needed love the most, this story is for you. Someone out there needs to be reminded that heartbreak can plant the very seeds of their power. Share this with them. And comment below if you've ever turned your pain into purpose and made the one who left realize what they lost too late. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, drop a comment, and share it with a friend. And don't forget to subscribe to Black Stories Untold for more stories that uncover hidden struggles, celebrate strength, and remind us that every voice matters.